The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
This is Orioles Preview. We do it every Wednesday, and the Orioles are continuing their series tonight with the New York Yankees. Coverage here begins at 6:30. Pleased to be joined by Fredi Gonzalez, who is the bench coach for the Orioles, and there's a lot to talk about with the Orioles, obviously, but you've been around the game for a long time, Fredi. Managed a couple of teams with the Marlins and the Braves. Been part of the baseball culture your whole life. You must have some thoughts on the passing of Willie Mays. What did Willie Mays mean to you?
Oh, everything, right? Everything what's good about baseball. I was just talking to my son this morning. He called because I was privileged to be in an All-Star game when the Giants hosted it. And I can't even remember now, 10, 15 years ago, and he came with me to that game as a young boy, and he remember introducing him to Willie Mays, and so the passing of him is a baseball icon, right? I mean, you look at his numbers, you look at the person that he is, and I'm so glad that I got to meet him, and also that my son got to meet him also. Yeah,
I've been doing some of the similar things today with some of the younger people I work with, like when did you first become aware of it? And our producer here is in his 30s. He said when he first learned about baseball itself. So that's how much he was attached to the game.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because my son, he goes, there's a song out there, what is it, Willie?
Mickey and the Duke.
We're the Duke, right? And he goes, Dad, who's the Duke? And I'm like, well, Duke is the Duke Snyder, and those are the three center fielders here in New York back in the days. So it's great. It's great that he got a chance to meet him, and it's kind of a sad that he doesn't get a chance to go be part of the Negro League game that's happening this week.
Yeah, he was not going to be able to attend anyway. But yes,
right.
to have been able to see it on television from home would have been a great thing. But
would have been special. Yeah.
But he lived a great long life. Was the oldest living member of the Hall of Fame, passing away at the age of 93. We're talking to Fredi Gonzalez, who is the Orioles bench coach, and your background is interesting in itself. I know you were born in Cuba, but got to Miami, born in the 1960s. Was it difficult for your family to get out of Cuba at that time?
You know what? I was 2 years old when I left. I was born in '64, and we left in '66. And my parents, they were young adults with 3 kids, and their families, and my mom's sisters and her mother. They put their name in. I think they called them back then. They called them freedom flights, and They put their names in to leave the country, and then the night before, somebody knocked on your door and said, you're leaving tomorrow at 9 a.m, and you can't bring anything, and if you want to go. And they did. And to this day, I haven't been back to where I was born. I would love to go back to where I was born one time and visit, but my parents they lived that communism, and they lived all that stuff that was bad in Cuba, and so they don't want me to go back, and and I get it, right? Mm-hmm. I get it that they were young adults when Fidel Castro was pulling people out of homes and putting them in jail and all that kind of stuff. So I respect that, but maybe 10, 12 years down the road, before there's a Starbucks in every corner in Cuba, I would like to go back and visit my homeland.
I'll tell you, the way all sports are expanding, we may find a team in Cuba one of these days.
Hopefully they have a really good history of the Cuban the Sugar Kings, right? The Havana Sugar Kings and the AAA baseball. So there is baseball, and it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, growing up in Miami with Cuban parents, I guess there was no doubt that you would be introduced to baseball at an early age. When did you really first become a player good enough to be drafted into the major leagues? When did that all begin for you?
Andy, I don't even remember how young I was, but I know that's the only sport I played. Mm-hmm. I did. My parents forbid me to play football and that kind of stuff. So I bet you I was 4 or 5 years old. If you look at some of the black and white pictures that my parents have in a scrapbook, and so I was fortunate enough, and I guess just good enough to play professional. And played 6 years in the minor leagues, and then very lucky, very fortunate to this is my 25th year in a major league in a major league uniform, and I've been very lucky about that.
No question. And you've been a manager with two different franchises. Not very many guys get to manage one, much less two. And you worked for two very different teams: the Marlins, who had the lowest payroll in baseball, and the Braves. And I'm curious to get your comparison here. The Braves seem to be doing business and have done business for a long time, like the Orioles have been doing it in recent years under Mike Elias. Is that a fair comparison?
It is, and I think we were with the Braves. We were a pretty good club when I was there, and then the last year it was. I remember having a meeting with our front office, and they said, "Hey, we need to kind of reassess our major league team and we got some young players in the minor leagues," and so they started trading players like Freeman and Freeman was still there. I'm sorry, but the Upton brothers and Simmons and Kimbrell and a couple guys to kind of reset in 2016. I ended up getting fired. Snit took over, and here comes all those young players, and it's kind of like parallel what we're doing here. Yeah. They had Acuna and Swanson and Albies and all those young pitchers and Rowley. And here we have Gunnar Henderson, Rushman, Westberg, and Cowser, and so on and so on. So hopefully that we can repeat that. They went to the World Series a couple back-to-back years, 1-1, and hopefully we could do the same.
Yeah, I mean, you did something with Atlanta that they tell you never to do. You don't want to replace the guy. You want to replace the guy that replaces the guy, and you came in for Bobby Cox and did a very good job with that. And I look at you now in your situation in Baltimore with Brandon Hyde, who had to go through the rough times, and in his first job as a manager, what kind of things do you tell him based on your experience, how you work with the Marlins and the Braves?
Well, it's a constant conversation, right? And I'm so lucky that I almost get to manage alongside with Brandon. And the only thing I don't do is I don't get to talk to the media at the end of the day, which or be on the phone every single minute of the day, which I don't miss that as a manager. He's got to do that. But Brandon has got me. I'm in this inside circle, right? And every decision, every conversation, even if it's not baseball, even if it's just, hey, I need you to go talk to so-and-so about, he's not playing tonight, or how's he feeling? And so he's got me doing some good stuff, and I'm really appreciative of him, that he leans on me a lot.
Well, you don't look like Popeye, and you don't have a metal plate in your head, but it sounds like the relationship that Joe Torre had with Don Zimmer. Is that you must have met Zimmer along the way, right? All those years in baseball.
Yes, I have, and I'm very lucky that I have met Zim. And what a great person, and what a great ambassador to the game, and all the way to the end. I don't know if I'm going to be in a uniform as long as he is, because I'm just turned 60, and I want to enjoy a little later in life, and maybe travel with the wife and do that. And I don't know if I'm going to look good in a uniform. Hell, I don't look good in a uniform at 60. I couldn't imagine at 65 or 68 years old. But wow. I still have fun going to the ballpark. These young players, watching Gunnar and Rutch, and they keep you energized, and it's fun. And it's a great group of guys. It really is. And not only they're great baseball players, but they're great young men.
Well, I'll tell you, I covered Zimmer when he was in his 50s. He didn't look great in a uniform then, so I wouldn't worry about that. But the thing is about the relationship, and that was a big part. And Torre was very open about that. How he would consult with Zimmer on everything. That goes on. There's like constant chatter between the two. Do you stand next to him? I notice he stands. He doesn't necessarily sit, but do you stand next to him pretty much during the game?
Yeah, he moves around a little bit, and so I know when to come next to him. I like the first 3 or 4 innings. I can't venture too far because I'm in charge of the replay phone. Right. So I gotta be near that phone. But when the stuff's getting ready to hit the fan, or he asks me about a pitching question or this, and later in the game I'm right next to him, and we're aligned in thinking, and I'll even bring some stuff up. Hey, he'll go, hey, can you get O'Hearn ready to pinch hit here? I go, hey, standing right behind you, ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, keep ahead of him, and I prepare just like he does for the game. And ultimately he makes all the final decisions, but he's a special guy. He really is. I'm learning. Here is my 25th year, and like you said, managed 2 teams, and I'm learning stuff that I wish that I had known managing the other clubs when I was a young manager.
A couple of things. We're talking to Fredi Gonzalez, bench coach with the Orioles, and you are involved in what the fans look at as an enormous series, and it is, because you're battling your team, your division rival, your team that's in first place. But, as you know, baseball's an everyday game. It's 162. It's a long grind. Is there a message to the players, hey, do the best you can in this series, but let's not overemphasize this because there's only 3 games? Or, I remember last year when early on you were chasing Tampa and played them in a big series about this time of year, and I think won 2 out of 3, and I thought that really propelled you last year. So what is the balance when you look at this big series that's going on with the Yankees right now?
Andy, great question. People say, well, it's a 162-game season, and a series is a series. But our biggest thing that we want to win series, right? And so we lost yesterday's game, and we want to win these next 2 coming up. We have played, if you look back into the Tampa series when we were on the road, we played, some really, really good baseball teams. We swept Tampa, came home and beat the Braves 2 out of 3, and then we beat the Phillies 2 out of 3, and now we got to get the Yankees, and it doesn't get any easier, right, as you go forward. But yeah, our message is win series, and I think at the end of the year, some math genius said if you win every series, you got a really, really good chance to be in the playoffs, and that's our goal. So for us to think otherwise, it's a wrong message, and I think that Hyder keeps the guys' focus is like, hey, yesterday's game we lost, fine. We came back. We got 2 runs off their closer. We got them in a little bit of a jam, and that was the goal, right? We were down 4 runs, and we got to the closer, and so now let's play these next 2 games. We got Garrett Cole going against us. We got a young left-handed pitcher that they've never seen, and it's going to be fun next 2 days.
Yeah, well, it's a great rivalry, and I go back to the days of a home run being robbed in the playoffs in '96. Some of us have never forgotten that, but always great when these 2 teams hook up. And best of luck to you guys. What a great run it's been the last couple of years, and hopefully it keeps going this year. And we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
Okay. Great talking baseball with you, Andy.
Thank you. That's Fredi Gonzalez, who's the bench coach for the Orioles. Did manage the Marlins when they had the lowest payroll in baseball, then managed the Braves following Bobby Cox. That's not what you want to do. In most cases, when you follow a legend, it doesn't work out. And he hung in there. He made the playoffs a couple of times. But, baseball managers come and go, and now he's settled into becoming the bench coach. And I don't know if it's quite Don Zimmer, but it is, I think, an apt comparison, especially the way the team is playing right now. Coming up, some clubhouse reaction to last night's loss to the Yankees and where the team is right now. It's the Andy Pollin Show, ESPN 630.
The Andy Pollin Show on ESPN 630, the sports capital.
This is Orioles Preview. Orioles continuing their series with the Yankees tonight. Cy Young Award winner Garrett Cole making his season debut, coming off injury for the Yankees tonight. Coverage here starts at 6:30. They wrap it up tomorrow with an afternoon game at 4 o'clock. They lost last night 4-2, and there were control problems for Albert Suarez, who had been terrific going into this game. He had an ERA of 1.61. He was 3-0. His ERA is over 2 now, and he suffered his first loss of the year at 3-1. And they didn't hit that well. Gunnar Henderson, who is having a tremendous year in the MVP conversation. He's got 22 home runs, 49 runs batted in, hitting .273. Has played in all but 1 game. And even at the age of 22, understands how a season works. It's 162, and while everybody in the fan area on both sides, really Yankees and Orioles, all hyped up about this, he's playing it smooth and down the middle.
Not really. I mean, it's still June, so we still got 3-4 months left to play. So still a lot of games left. I mean, obviously you want to win every series you can against the least rival, but at the same time, it's still a long season.
Yeah, so he understands that, and they continue that tonight. They're 2.5 games behind the Yankees. As for the Suarez line last night, 3 1/3. He gave up 6 hits, 3 earned runs. He walked 5. He struck out only 3. And this is not what Brandon Hyde has been used to seeing out of him.
Well, command. I mean, it's not like him to walk 5. I didn't think he had a lot of. He's behind in the count a lot. This team doesn't chase, and just a lot of balls. Didn't get hit hard, but just unlike him to walk 5 guys.
Yeah, and that was really the big issue last night. This is Suarez, who got called up during the season. Guy kind of forgotten, pitched 5 years in Japan, but has been great so far. Not last night. Here's why.
I wasn't just throwing my best pitch in the strike zone, and that's something that really hurt me today.
How tough is that lineup to face, especially when they're not really chasing any pitches?
I mean, I don't focus on how tough they are. I just focus on how I can execute. And today I didn't, so that's why I think that we got the loss.
It's a pretty uncharacteristic day from what we've seen from you. Did everything just feel off from the start for you tonight?
I mean, I feel pretty good in the bullpen. Once I start throwing in the mound, I was good too. I don't know. It's one of those days that you don't know. You just bothering with yourself out there, and you just have to keep going and try to get through.
What was the intensity like of pitching in this environment?
I like it. It's a good environment. We also have a good environment at home. So for me, it's normal. And the fans here are excited too. So for me, I don't pay attention to that. It's just normal.
I had 47,000 last night, complete sellout. Actually, some standing room as well. Also, some injuries here. Not quite an eye for an eye, but there was a bizarre play where Juan Soto ran into Westberg fielding a ground ball, and Jordan Westberg, and he had to leave the game. They don't know whether he's going to be available to play tonight. And then Aaron Judge got hit on the hand, on the left hand. And you go, oh, God, big slugger, big money, going to be out, broken hand. He dodged a bullet on that.
I'm feeling better after we got some good news.
What was that good news?
Just X-ray, CT scans come back negative, so we're in a good spot.
How much of a relief is that for you?
Big relief, just being hit there before a couple of years ago and breaking the wrist. You never know what's going to happen. So, finding out that it's not fractured, not broken is definitely a sign of relief.
When you first did it, did you fear that it could be bad?
Yeah, anytime you get hit by, 90, 94, 95 up and in like that, and especially on the hands where there's so many small bones and ligaments and stuff like that, you just never know what's going to happen or what it's going to be. So, just getting that good news is a good thing.
I have to take his word for it. Anytime you get hit by a 94, 95, if you're a major league player, and he somehow didn't break his hand, so good for him on that. I don't know if he'll be in the lineup tonight. We do know that Garrett Cole is going to make his season debut. John Smoltz yesterday on the Rich Eisen show on what to expect.
I think the biggest thing is he knows how to pitch with the stuff he has, and he may have used one more, let's just say, rehab start to build his numbers up, but he's going to do that now, and he's facing probably the second best team, or some people think the best team in the American League, the Baltimore Orioles. So that's going to be a good test for him. But I think the fact that he has been so experienced in how he pitches with his stuff that he won't overthrow, he won't try to do too much. And I'd say 3 starts is the maximum that it should take for him to get into a groove. When you've had an injury and you've missed this amount of time, I don't care how good you are, it still takes you about 3 starts to get in that routine that you're used to.
So the key is, if you're going to get to Garrett Cole, you get to him now, like before he hits his stride in the season. So if they can even up the series tonight, this would be the opportunity to do it against Garrett Cole. Again, it wraps up with an afternoon game tomorrow. Then they go to Houston for 3 games. Now, the Astros are in second place in the American League West, but they're 7 games under 500. I mean, you look at these other divisions, and the Orioles would be leading the other 2. And they have, the 3rd best record in baseball, and they're in second place in their division, 2.5 games back. But a lot of baseball to play and a lot of time left, and they did really have a great second half last year. So we'll see how things develop the rest of this season. But again, it's a 6:30 pregame here on ESPN 6:30 with a 7 o'clock start from Yankee Stadium. I want to thank for coming on today, Fredi Gonzalez, the bench coach for the team, Mike Callow for running the show. All of you who listen, have a great rest of the day. Tony is coming up next. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m.